Hey, sis. I hope that you're having an amazing day. This is Kevette Minor Kane, your financial liberation expert. And I'm here because we're going to talk today, obviously, about mindful money moments. This is when we have an opportunity to take a moment to be mindful about our money. Because this is all about how we're able to understand how our emotions affect our money management and how we're able to reset our mindset and able to make better habits, to make better decisions, as well as to experience a better quality of life. So today I'm actually going to be presenting a project that I've recently completed and I'm so proud of. I participated in an anthology project entitled Reinvented to Rise. And the chapter that I wrote for that book is entitled From Rescue Fantasy to Full Responsibility. So it's about how I transitioned in life from survival mode and how I was able to transform my mindset and transform my money management in order to thrive. So the questions that are answered in this chapter include, what drives me on this journey to self-sufficiency. There are some tough choices that I was faced with, and there were a number of traumas that I had survived in a very short period of time. And so what I'm sharing in the chapter is some of the insight of, what happened during that time, as well as how I was able to handle it, what I did in order to make the shift, and making the decision to continue moving forward, and how I was going to reestablish myself, in going from that rescue fantasy to the full responsibility. And so I want to tell you a little story about that because it's very interesting how all of that came about. Hey Nikki, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I actually went through, this turmoil, this period of time. I was married for 17 years before separating and finally divorcing this year. Yay. Um, and yes, I am celebrating my divorce. Because of the challenges that existed in my marriage. Now, I do celebrate marriage because I think that marriage is a beautiful thing. And I know that, when two whole people come together, healed and healthy, that they're able to have an amazing whole marriage, healed and healthy, and to be able to grow together. And so, I know that there are many people who have those relationships. Unfortunately, my first marriage was not like that. And so through that situation, and I know that there were many women who have had similar experiences to mine. There's so many women out here who have been divorced, and men as well, but have been through the experience where you've had to literally rebuild your life from ground zero. And I say, a lot of people say, oh, you build up from rock bottom. I says, no, I build up from the dust. So it was very challenging on every level. But through those challenges, I was actually able to reinvent myself to rise. And that is why this book was so significant to me. It came as an invitation from our lead author, the project imaginary, or the initiator, Alethea Tucker. And if you go to my Instagram, you'll see plenty of posts and information about the project, as well as Alethea, and you can go and do some research on her. She is absolutely fabulous and amazing. I actually had an opportunity to be a guest on her podcast just this past week. And so she's published that. And so I also, posted on Instagram about that. So you ladies will be able to go and see, all the information about what I have been involved in with this project. But I wanted to come and just talk one-on-one to you, sister to sister, about what this project means to me. It's so significant because I feel the first of many goals that have been accomplished for me. I set a number of goals when I set out to literally reinvent my life, to reestablish myself and to start over again. And I did that by, rejoining or reconnecting with the financial services industry where, I've worked before, where I have been educated, and left the industry due to, the decisions of my partner at the time. And so, while I understand the decision that was made then and the thought that went in behind it, it's not something that I agreed with, but it was something that I supported as a submissive wife. And what I realized coming back is that, it was something that I had to reestablish because of where I was coming from in terms of the growth and even experiencing the loss. And so recognizing the loss and the grief and the poor decisions that I had made in the past is what has helped me to make better decisions now and going forward into the future, and has allowed me to reestablish my life or reinvent myself to rise. And so I'm so excited and so proud about that. But my chapter actually came from an experience, I would say about, April of 2020, not long after COVID was hit and we were still under quarantine. And I was doing some research, as I often do. YouTube University is one of my favorite places. You find this video on YouTube as well. And I was doing some research on one of my mentors, my YouTube mentors, Melody Hobson, who is one of my idols in the finance field. And I just love her career. I love her story of where she came from and how she, reinvented herself and how she was able to rise even in her own right. And so she gave some encouragement. She did a podcast interview. And in this interview, she highlighted a quote from Judy Collins, an American singer, which talked about how women have been taught this female rescue fantasy, and because of that, then what we often end up doing is giving away our power. So hear me, that's on every level. When I think about the power that we give up, I know for me, the most significant power that I discuss in my message, as well as with my clients, and, what I focused in on for myself was the financial power, because I realized that in order to rebuild my life, I had to reestablish my finances first and foremost, because without money, I wasn't going to be able to do anything. And so that was the primary concern for me there. But in getting to that point and in, traveling on that journey, taking the steps that I needed to take in order to reestablish my finances, I realized that I also needed a mindset shift, because my thinking is what got me to where I was. And it was also my thinking or my mindset that was going to get me to where I needed to go. And those are two different places, obviously. I was in a place where, poverty was the norm. I was in a place where, having less than necessary was the expectation. And I was in a place where the energy was so low, and the idea of what was, what life should be was so out of my own, dream or imagination for what my life would actually look like at that point in time. And, when you turn 40, you think about, well, what have I done with the last 40 years of my life? I mean, when you turn 20, you think about, well, okay, I was a kid. I've grown up over the last 20 years of my life. And then from 20 to 40, it's like, okay, so now I've got, 20 years as an adult. What have I done with that time? And where am I in terms of the dreams that I had? And the goals that I established for myself many years ago. And for me, I had taken many steps backward, and I felt like I had not been able to even stand on solid ground. And so that was the decision that I had to make. I had to make a decision that I was going to be able to stand on solid ground for myself, and to be able to make the choices to move myself forward so that I could actually continue to grow and to make the decisions that would allow me to create the reality of my dreams, which is what I talk about so often. um, and to my clients as well as to you all. You hear about that all the time. It's about creating the reality of your dreams. It is about shifting your mindset, transforming your mind in order to transform your money and thrive. And being able to do that requires some work. It requires introspection, and that requires awareness. And then it requires understanding what changes need to be made and being willing to do the work on making those changes. I do what I do in my business because I understand that when you're coming from a place of trauma, when you first are deciding to make this, dramatic change in your life, and sometimes traumatic change in your life, it is not easy to do by yourself. And so I call myself a hand-holding coach because I'm willing to hold your hand through the process, to start you off at the very beginning, to help you to understand, to be more conscious, and then to be able to identify the tasks that need to be done after you've set goals so that you can actually accomplish them. And that's so significant because, we can daydream all day long, but if we don't understand the task or the actual, actions that need to be taken in order to make those goals or those dreams a reality, then it's just going to be what we call a wish. You can wish upon a star all day and all night, but if you don't do anything, it's never going to come true. And so that is where this chapter and where this book project, I believe, came from. It was truly a blessing for me. It was an answer to my prayers. I feel like an olive branch reached out to me from the universe because I have a number of projects that I'm actually working on. But I want to share, just a little bit of insight concerning what I've learned in this process of having this book project published, and also give you some insight on what's coming up next. Okay, so from this project, I saw Miss Alethea Tucker, who, is going to be a guest on my show upcoming. She's going to be talking about networking and how she was able to put this project together. So for those of you who are interested in actually doing an anthology project, or, even writing a book on your own and want to understand what it takes in order to find the support for doing that well, Miss Alethea is going to come in and share some information with us about her process and how she was able to successfully bring this, baby dream to birth. And so it's been absolutely fabulous. It was a very short period of time that it took. But I feel like, it really is like a birthing process, especially when you're dealing with trauma, as we did with every woman from this book perspective. And these ladies are absolutely amazing. Let me just tell you, the stories that they have to share. One woman has, had to find her way, reinvent herself to rise after losing a husband in death after more than 30 years of marriage. And that is a challenge in and of itself. You are a different person when you're a part of a partnership as opposed to now, being solo. And there's a very different transition that occurs when someone has lost a mate versus when someone divorces a mate. And so she shares the insight of, what it took for her to be able to rebuild her life, shifting her mindset and, setting goals, and then the actions that she was actually able to take in that process, and what it looked like for her in terms of reinvention and how she was able to rise. And all of the stories in this book are about how we're able to learn the lessons from experiences that we've had, that we understand we're not alone. There are thousands, even millions of women who have had these experiences. The difference, though, is in how we have handled ourselves through solving the problem, or through the resolution, through overcoming the issue, and being able to grow through the process. And so I think that's where you'll be able to benefit, and you'll be able to get a copy of that book if you go to marimorelife.com. You can actually click on, if you go to hover over the home tab, there is a page for Reinvented to Rise. And so you can get more information, a little more insight about, my contribution to the book, as well as there's a link there for you to purchase the book through Amazon. It is available now. And I have to say, I am so proud that we are an Amazon bestseller book. I want to thank all of you ladies, all of you fellas out there, all of my people, my family, my friends, my colleagues and contacts, those of you who, responded to my post and, went out and purchased that digital book for us. It really was amazing to have that support. And I am so proud to say that we were able to accomplish that goal of becoming an Amazon bestseller. And then we're also number one on the new release list that they have. And so, I have more information about that. Of course, everything is going to be posted on Mari More Life. You'll see more from me here, especially when Miss Alethea comes to share some insight with us about her, project and what she wanted to do with that, and how she came up with the project. How did she reach out, and what did she do? Because it's all about how. We can talk about what all day long, and you can search YouTube and find, 10 million videos that will tell you what. But here, when you come to Mindful Money Moment, then you're going to be able to get more information about how. Because those steps of how, those are the tasks, those are the actions. That is how you get it done, and so that's what we're all about, taking a moment to be mindful so that we can, be conscious about where we are, maintaining a positive mindset so that we can be productive and continue to be progressive in everything that we set out to do. Accomplishing your goals is what I'm here to support you with. And so it's about education, guidance, and support through this process. One step at a time. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And so, the elephant in the room is, what is your dream? What is the life that you have envisioned for yourself? What have you imagined that you could possibly do? And what have you imagined that you think might be impossible, but you still would imagine that, maybe one day you could do something like that, and then reach out, make a connection. You can visit marimorelife.com again and schedule a clarity connection. It's 15 to 30 minutes where you and I can just sit and talk, about whatever. If you want to collab with me, let's collab. If you want to hire me as your coach or advisor, let's work together. I'm here to serve you and to make sure that you get what you need. I am a financial liberation expert. And so my expertise comes from my experience. However, I have been trained in two areas, in financial education, as well as emotional intelligence. And the emotional intelligence side is where that mindset comes into play. And there's 5 areas of mindset that I work with. And they are your mental, so your thinking, starting with your brain and what's going on in there, in your mind, and then of course your emotional mindset, because your thoughts affect how you feel, and then of course your spiritual mindset, because your connection to other people and your connection to the creator are significant aspects of how you think and move about in the world. And then, of course, your physical mindset, because your thinking leads to how you feel, and your feelings will affect you physically, whether it's your health, your mobility, your, ability to get around and do different things. And so that is, where that comes from. And then also, finally, of course, your finances. And that's where we talk about saving and spending. Being able to put together what we call our budget plan so that we're able to understand, how to manage our money from the very basic level. And then we can go to the other side of the coin, which is your money management. And there's 5 areas of money management that I am able to address with you, or that I choose to address with you and will work with you in depth on. And those include your credit, your cash flow, your savings, your insurance, as well as your investments. So I am a financial advisor. I'm a licensed life and health insurance agent, and able to give you advice on how you can grow your money from that perspective, sharing some, insights and ideas for each individual. Everything is different. Your financial plan is as individual as your fingerprints, and you know that on each one of your fingers the fingerprint is different. And so that's the whole idea, is that you're able to get a plan that is going to work for you, not necessarily the cookie cutter plan that everybody else is trying to put into play. That doesn't always work. And so being able to identify those things is absolutely essential for you. And that's where I show you in this book that I've, been able to come from that rescue fantasy into full responsibility by understanding those things about myself. And so I'm able to help you understand those things in your circumstance as well. So back to my story. Miss Melody Hobson shared that amazing quote, and it was an earth-shattering moment for me. And being able to understand, that no one is coming. And being able to recognize that I had to now take full responsibility for my life. And that I had been that woman who had that rescue fantasy. I thought that I was going to get married and my husband would just take care of everything and I wouldn't have to worry about anything. And, I had filed bankruptcy right before my marriage so that I wouldn't take my bad debt into my marriage. I was, thinking with a little foresight. I still wasn't in the best financial position, obviously. But I felt like I was creating a solid foundation from which to grow. And in that process, things actually just spiraled and got worse. Now, this side of the story, you'll actually hear more in an upcoming project that I have, and I'll share some more with you about that in a few moments. But understanding, the insight that I had, I was actually looking, to get married so that this man would come and he would take care of me. I felt like I would be able to work from home. And I wanted to be able to I wanted to work a business from home. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've always been an entrepreneur, mind you. And so, I wanted to continue doing that, but I thought that being married, having a partner would give me an opportunity to do that even better. We had some successful businesses. We were able to, to make some, accomplishments in our businesses and to grow. However, we never seemed to really get to a point where, I felt like the finances were balanced and where we didn't have that constant stress upon both of us. And any of you who know, if you've done the research, if you've heard the quotes, you know that 99% of marriages are, end up in divorce because of money issues. Whether those money issues lead to other emotional challenges in the marriage, which they normally do, infidelity and all those things included, abuse, because of the frustration and because of the challenges that exist. But being able to overcome that or to be conscious of that means that you're able to overcome that. So being conscious of, where you stand in terms of mindset as well as your money management when you go into a marriage relationship or a partnership like that, then you're able to really give yourself a more solid ground to stand on. And so that's kind of where I am at this point in time, just, working on building my solid ground and making sure that I can stand on my own 2 feet. I have taken responsibility for my life, and I'm so excited about where I have come to. I actually took some time in January 2021, so about 6 months ago, to do some reflection again and to do a self-evaluation. And so I recommend and I encourage that each one of you do a full financial evaluation on yourself. Look at those 5 areas. You can, identify where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are. Your weaknesses don't mean that you're weak. It means that that's an area that you can work on strengthening so that you can grow, and so that you can get to be better. And I believe that you can do that. So if you don't believe it, you can borrow my belief for a little bit and then get to the point where you believe it and be able to accomplish that, because I know that if you believe it, you can achieve it. That's real. And so being able to do that for me has been the biggest transition that I've ever experienced in my life. It has been so freeing, which is why, the whole liberation, it has given me a sense of confidence. It has given me a sense of love for myself. So the self-love and the self-care is on high. High vibes here only, only. And so, that includes the people that I associate with, the business that I do, the way that I treat myself and the way that I treat others. And so, my encouragement is just to be able to develop that for yourself as well. You can accomplish anything that you can imagine for you. You just have to not give up. And that's one of the biggest things. People wonder, okay, well, what does it mean to be successful? And people will come up with a number, of what this financial success looks like. And then when they accomplish that number, they don't always feel great. I have a conversation. Oh, also every Monday on Clubhouse. So you can reach me on Mondays, 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know that's a little early in the morning, but I'm an early riser. I rise early because I love having that peace early in the day, first thing in the morning, being able to just take that time, usually to be to myself. But on Mondays, I'm up and I'm, up long before 5:30, but I'm able to join in on this conversation on Clubhouse at 5:30 in the morning through the Adept Leadership. And you can, connect with me on Clubhouse and across social media at I am Kevette. And you see that in my bio at the bottom of the page. You're able to connect with me there and to be able to, to hear the conversation and even come up on stage and share your experience, your knowledge, your, contribution that you have to add some value to us being able to make sure that we've got our mind and our money right. And that's the whole goal, so I in this project have been able to, really accomplish a major goal for myself. And I'm so excited to be sharing this with you. And I hope that you're celebrating with me. Click on like, make a comment, congratulations, share some confetti. I love confetti. I love all the sparkles. You guys can see the flowers that I buy for myself every other week. And I also get balloons. I haven't been able to get out to get my balloons this month. But I get balloons on a monthly basis because I find something to celebrate every month. Okay, so and on that note, July is Residuals and Royalties Month. So this book came out at the perfect time because in July, we actually here at Mari More Life and on Mari More Life TV, we take some time to give focus to royalties and residuals. How are you able to build up that passive income for something that you are able to do the work up front and then to kind of set it and not forget it, but to make sure that it's continuing to run, despite your not necessarily having your hands directly on it. That's what passive income is. Passive income is not established passively. So y'all know from the jump, it does require work to set it up. And so one of the thoughts behind this project and even my future projects for me, because I'm going to continue to write, is that I want to be able to have something that is continuing to grow an income for me. The book sales will continue to go on and on and on. I would dream of reaching the 7.7 billion people on the planet and make sure that everybody gets a copy of my book. If I do that, then I'll be set for life. I will reach my number. But even, despite that, if everybody today, doesn't rush out and buy that book on Amazon, I've still got, at 45, I've still got 55, 60, 65 years 75 years. Ooh, I got 75 years where I can go and make sure that, over that time, I will be able to reach more and more people. And so that's where the residual is able to come in, because it's going to be ongoing, and the royalties will roll in based on the accounts that I have set up behind that. And so, are you interested in setting up residuals and royalties? Is that something that you've thought about and you just kind of been like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I don't know what's going on. What talent do I have? What creativity can I express? Being able to explore that just means having a conversation to start it off. And so again, you can go in marimorelife.com and you'll be able to connect with Kevette and be able to have that 15 to 30 minutes to explore, what is your interest? What is your financial interest? There's also on the website a financial interest survey. And if you would go and complete that financial interest survey for me before that Clarity Connection call, then we'll be able to identify, what are you really looking for? And I'll know, what kind of advice I can give in order to steer you in the right direction. You still have to do the work, but I can definitely educate you and guide you and support you along the way. And I look forward to being able to do that. So feel free. And then you can also take advantage of my free ebook, the Mindful Money Moment Journal. That is right here above my head. And that is available on the website, where you're able to go. And I just give you a few prompts at the top of each page. And it covers those 5 areas of mindset and those 5 areas of money management. But you're able to write about different things on each page so that you're able to kind of put your thoughts out. And that helps to raise your consciousness. That's step number 1, or if you've already started on your journey to self-sufficiency, this is the greatest next step that you could take, is being able to start journaling and tracking your progress, because you'll do that today. And then you'll do that every quarter going forward, so that you'll be able to see, okay, so where was I thinking in July of 2021? Okay, now where was I thinking in October of 2021, fourth quarter? Now when 2022 starts in January, let me start afresh with my New Year's resolutions and brand new goals and things that you might set for yourself, and identify those tasks and things that you want to be able to accomplish moving forward. It requires having those goals outlined for yourself. What do you want to do in 5 to 10 years? But that's a big thing to think about, like 5 to 10 years. Oh my God, nobody thought that COVID was going to happen in 2020. So stuff got shifted all around. But where we are now is understanding that we can pivot when it's necessary. So when stuff comes up, you handle it. That's all. But you make a plan so that you've got some idea in mind of where you see yourself being in the future, where you actually want to be, so that even if there is a detour on that journey, even if there's a roadblock, you can figure out how to go around and make it happen. Because you don't have to give up. Your goals and your dreams are absolutely attainable and absolutely accomplishable, if that's a word. But you can do it, is the point. And if you reach out to me, connect with Kevette, schedule a clarity connection on marimorelife.com. And then we will be able to identify what that looks like for you. We'll start with that free 30 minutes. And if you want to go further, then we certainly can. But I tell you, I give you a lot in that 30 minutes so that you're able to actually get started on that process and to actually know, what are some steps to take. Okay, so, every show I have my guests, usually if I have a guest on, I have them give 3 steps to get you started on this process, right? For whatever they're giving advice about. And so today I thought, well, what are 3 steps that I could encourage my ladies, my sisters to go through in order to identify for themselves some residual and royalties for the month of July. All right. So the 3 steps are, first and foremost, journal. Okay. And so that's where you want to go and get that Mindful Money Moment Journal. And you can get started with that right away with your mindset areas as well as your money management areas, and, get to writing so that where are you right now? The best thing you can do is start where you are, but you got to be able to identify, where are you? Where are you in your thinking? Where are you in your feelings? Where are you in your spirituality? Where are you in your physical health? Where are you financially? You got to identify those things. And that journal is going to help you to do that. So that's the first step. The second step is to choose a media. Choose whatever media you want. Do you want to create a TV channel like this one here? Do you want to write a book? Have you always dreamed of being able to publish something fabulous? Do you want to write a movie? Do you want to see your ideas show up on the big screen? Is that something that you have always imagined? Do you want to record your voice, whether you're talking or singing or quoting or, whatever? Is that what you want to do? What media do you want? And that's where you get to sit down and kind of identify your talents, your creativity, and to be able to say, okay, this is the media that I want to use in order to create my royalties and residuals, and to share your creativity with the world. Okay. And step 3, publish. Got to get it done. And there's so many different ways that you can publish. You can do a group project similar to the anthology that I just participated in. You can do absolutely a solo project all on your own, where you do the research and you do the work, and you're able to, take, one step at a time, one bite at a time, getting through that elephant and making sure that you're able to accomplish the goal and to be, whole in that accomplishment or that achievement. But it takes you to sit down first and to think about it, to identify what you really want. And once you identify what you really want, then you can seek the support that's necessary in order to get through that process, because it helps to have guidance. I have hired a number of coaches that work with me. And I have a number of coaches that I barter with, and we go back and forth, different services and things. So if you're an entrepreneur, are there services that you can barter with other entrepreneurs? Or are you able to market your services to other entrepreneurs, where you're able to, to make sure that you're building your business and growing your business in that way, reaching out to your audience and to your market, but being able to accomplish your goal nonetheless. And so, through those different options, once you make those choices and the decisions of what you really want, then you can identify the tasks that are necessary in order to accomplish that. And so then you're able to move forward. You take those actions. You have, maybe you hire an accountability coach. I got that resource for you too. So that, you would be reminded, you would be encouraged, you would be motivated to continue moving forward one step at a time. Because, you can work solo and it will take a longer period of time, but you can do it. Absolutely. Or you can work with a team and you can work a little quicker. It takes some investment, but you're worth it. You're worth the investment. I am so proud of myself for making the investments that I've made in the progress that I've been able to make, because I've learned some very valuable lessons. All of those situations did not turn out well, but I learned some very valuable lessons, and what I say is that you will either pay attention or you'll pay for it later. So, and that's the real, so pay attention to what's going on. Be conscious about what's going on in your life. Is life just happening to you, or are you making it happen? That's the question. So make a decision today about making life happen in the way that you dream about, in the way that you can create in your head. Not that it has to be a fantasy, but it can be a dream that you create your reality by taking full responsibility. So that's what it's all about. So I thank you so much for joining me for this mindful money moment. It has been absolutely fabulous being with you again. Always, I'm so excited again about sharing this great news. So feel free to visit mariamorelife.com to get more information about the book project, as well as upcoming information. You can schedule your Clarity Connection. You can also get a free download of the Mindful Money Moment Journal to get you started on your next steps on this journey to self-sufficiency. And, celebrate every day. Find something to celebrate. I celebrate with people all the time, and we just laugh because, sometimes they think, okay, it's crazy, but yeah, I spent so much of my life in a period where there was no celebration. There was none. I mean, and when I say no celebration, I mean no celebration, and I decided that I was going to, from the point that I decided to make a change, that I was going to start celebrating more in my life. And so now I celebrate with everybody. I find things to celebrate. I don't know what national day it is today, but go on Google and search whatever the national day is, create a post, get a balloon, buy yourself some flowers, and celebrate. Have an amazing day, and continue to live your life to the full. This is Kevette Minor Kane, your financial liberation expert at Mari Moore Life LLC. I look forward to sharing more with you in the future. Of course, let me tell you before I go, sign off, that next project is a project that I've actually talked about quite a bit, but it's coming up to fruition. And I feel like this Reinvented to Rise project was the perfect introduction for it, because the chapter that I've written in this Reinvented to Rise book, The Rescue Fantasy to Full Responsibility, lets you know where I am now. But my next book project is actually going to take you back into hindsight, years of my life, where I'm able to identify not only the experience that I've had, but the lessons that I learned, both from an emotional standpoint and how those decisions affected me financially. And we're talking about some significant stuff here. We're talking about motherhood. We're talking about, college, employment. We're talking about, of course, parental relationships, because we have to even go all the way back to childhood in order to understand, what our thinking and mindset is today that has been affected by the situations that we've been exposed to, whether they were traumatic or not. We have been influenced. And so in order for us to identify how that influence is going to continue to affect us moving forward, we have to be aware or conscious of it so that we can acknowledge it and then make a determination to move forward. Sometimes that requires forgiveness. And sometimes there's some celebration. So if we can find something to celebrate in that, let's do it. I look forward to seeing you again soon. I look forward to sharing more with you about that Time to Thrive book that's coming up. It's Transform Your Mind and Transform Your Money, which is my message all day, every day. It's transforming your mind and transforming your money, understanding how your mindset affects your money management so that you're able to make better decisions, to create better habits, and to experience a greater quality of life in harmony with your purpose. We want to see you fulfill your life purpose. And I say we, because it's not just me. There's a whole community here who wants to see you succeed. And you can do it, sis. I know you can do it. You got this. And so I'll see you again soon. Have a wonderful evening. Take care.